groups. We know people have a lot of information to share, a lot of thoughts about this. We saw a lot of coverage of the city council meeting last night, so we know that a lot of people have things to share, and we want to be sure we can hear from as many people as possible. So after we do a brief introduction, we're going to break into small groups, and we'll have room for discussion then.
Could you just ask whether there's police officers here, please identify themselves? And I'm also curious if anyone from the district attorney's office is here or any other similar folks. Thank you.
Sorry, I won't ask people to identify who's here tonight. We want to hear from everyone tonight, but we're also going to hold questions until we get to the end. So our plan is to break into small groups so we can hear from folks and then reconvene at the end to take questions. We think a lot of questions will come up across groups, so I want to come back together right at the end of our event. All right, so the report is now available online. We also have a small number of copies here. If anyone wants a printed copy, we have some up front, so you can come grab one as we move into the small groups. But the report is online, and I really encourage everyone to read it when you have some time to do so. So before we get into the findings, let me provide some background about how we conducted this investigation. So the team that conducted this investigation includes several career investigators, attorneys, and support staff from both the Department of Justice's Civil Rights Division in Washington, D.C., as well as the U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of Massachusetts. They are career employees who have worked across multiple administrations. We've worked closely with several subject matter experts with extensive experience in criminal justice and in policing, including a former police chief and a statistician with expertise in the criminal justice system. This investigation was comprehensive. In conducting this 2-year investigation, we reviewed extensive evidence from many sources. We reviewed extensive documentation, including the police department's documentation of uses of force and investigative files. We conducted approximately 150 interviews, and we worked hard to ensure that this investigation was fair, thorough, and comprehensive. One thing to note is that this is a civil pattern of practice investigation. So that's different and separate from the criminal work that the Department of Justice does. So our investigation is not looking at the conduct of any one officer or looking at potential criminal penalties for any officers, but instead looking at the broader patterns of practice to see if there were any systemic problems in the department as a whole. Since our report was issued, we've heard some questions about whether there will be criminal investigations. And we have a process for referring criminal conduct to DOJ's criminal prosecutors. And those investigations would be handled separately and independently by folks who are different than the team that conducted this investigation. And we can't comment on whether there are any criminal investigations. Just wanted to kind of share a little bit of information about that because I know there are a lot of questions on that, but there is an internal process. We're also aware of some misinformation that's been circulating about the timing of this investigation. So just to quickly address that, we do not have an open investigation in White Castle, New York. That's something we saw. To our knowledge, that's not a place. But I just wanted to address that quickly. And the report was neither held nor advanced to give any Landon team from President-elect Trump time to review that. We conducted this investigation, and when it concluded and when we were finished with it, we released the report. So there's no timing considerations or political considerations about when we released it. We also heard reports indicating that we rushed the release of the report. Again, this was a 2-year-long investigation that was not rushed. We conducted it by career attorneys who worked across several different administrations on police matters, and that includes with the Springfield Police Department here in Massachusetts. And the timing, again, was neither delayed nor advanced in order to accommodate that. So turning to the results of our investigation. We found reasonable cause to believe that the Worcester Police Department engages in a pattern or practice of conduct that violates the Constitution. Worcester Police Department did this in 2 ways. First, we found that WPD uses excessive force, including by unreasonably using tasers, by using police dogs to bite people, by striking people in the head. We also found that officers escalate incidents by using more force than is necessary, including during encounters with people who have behavioral health disabilities or are experiencing a mental health crisis. Second, we found that the Worcester Police Department violates the constitutional rights of women who are suspected of being involved in the commercial sex trade. And they do this by engaging in sexual contact during undercover operations. I'm sorry about the microphone jumping in and out. So this is the first time that we've reached a pattern or practice finding of this kind. And we acknowledge that the subject matter is difficult and can be triggering for some, so if anybody needs to step out, please feel free to do so at any point today. So importantly, we also issued some areas of concern, but I just want to note that those areas of concern are a little different than our findings. With our findings, we found that there is a pattern or practice of systemic misconduct. Based on our investigation, we also found concerns that a small number we received a small number of credible reports of sexual assault by officers, and these are really serious, and so we felt it was important to include in our report, but we do not find a pattern or practice of sexual assault by officers. However, we do find a pattern or practice of outrageous government misconduct by engaging in sexual conduct during undercover operations. So just wanted to clear that up because I've seen some confusion over that point. So these findings are not based on any one incident or event. Instead, they existed because of long-standing problems in policy, training, supervision, and accountability. The pattern or practice of unlawful conduct that we found compromises Worcester's ability to provide public safety services safely, constitutionally, and effectively. Now, this does not mean that every officer in Worcester violated the law. As we say in the report, most of Worcester's law enforcement officers work hard and serve honorably, and they dedicate their professional lives to serving the community. It's challenging and important work. That said, we did issue this report because the patterns or practices that we found are serious and they result in real harm, and the systemic issues that permitted unconstitutional conduct to occur need to be addressed. So that brings us to why we are here tonight, and that is to hear from you about what is needed to address the problems that we found during our investigation. We are confident that the problems that we found can be addressed, and DOJ has experience in helping police departments across the country implement reforms that have resulted in changes. Since our report came out, we've heard from numerous different stakeholders who have expressed that they believe in Interim Chief Saucier's ability as a leader to make necessary changes. And we applaud the efforts that the city has been making at the department since he first started as interim chief, and as we've heard announced since our investigation came out. We look forward to continuing to engage in dialogue with the city about what the next steps will be. But now, as part of that process, we need to hear from officers and members of the Worcester community about your ideas for how we can address the problems that we found. We have reached out to the city to offer to meet with command staff, line officers, union leaders, and city councilors. We are always open to talk with the city about the report and the next steps forward. And we really appreciate all of you being here tonight to engage in this important conversation. We think this will be the first of many conversations that we will have. So at the end of the report, if you flip to the very back of it, we have a list of recommended remedial measures. And these are the steps that we think are sort of the broad outlines of the things that need to happen to address the problems that we found during our investigation. So I encourage you to take a look at those. But with that said, we want to hear your ideas. And so I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Nicole, who is going to lead us in the next part of tonight's event. Thanks.
Thank you, Mary. Hi, my name is Nicole Porter. I'm a trial attorney with the Department of Justice Special Litigation Section in DC. And as Megan stated, we are here because we want to hear from you. We want to hear your recommendations, your suggestions for reform. So what we're going to do now is break out into 3 groups. And we are going to have Greg Dorchak, who's an attorney with the United States Attorney's Office in Boston, and Megan lead this group. I will be leading this group in the middle, and then we will have Jennifer Serafin and Michelle Leon, who will handle this group over here. And Mary Moraine, who's also with the U.S. Attorney's Office in Boston, she'll be working with me and leading this group. But I think we can go ahead and go into our breakout sections.
If everybody can, if you want to make this
All right. Hello, everyone. Hi. Hi. Yes, yes.
It's already broken. It really does kind of kill the circle vibe.
Should we stand?
I think we should.
Yeah.
Hey, how are you?